Yeah, that was funny. Nowadays, all it is, Steve.
Hey, sports fans, good afternoon. It's Bob Zygo here, your host. And as usual, I have my two sports mavens with me today, Steve Gubeck, Carl Sell.
Good to
Gentlemen,
be here.
Nice to have you here with us today. Today, well, I was thinking of yesterday. What a sports day for yesterday was. The Nationals, God bless their hearts,
23 hits.
finally scored more than 3 runs. The Orioles are 19 runs.
8 homers.
8, and that was a brand new record for the Orioles.
Well, I think the Nationals broke some records too.
I'm sure they have. Blackhawks won. Golden State won. Diane just hollered woohoo for the Blackhawks.
And the women's soccer players won.
And the women's soccer players. So it's been a great day. Well, gentlemen, let's talk about the Nationals. Looking at their schedule so far, 1/3 or more than 1/3 of the season now gone, I see their whole season so far looking like a up and down, up and down. Do you think all of the DL players that we have in the Nationals accounts for this up and down bit?
A good portion of it, I think,
Yeah.
certainly. It was funny, before the season began, I said for simple sake that they would lose 62 games. You know, win 100 and lose 62, and I expect to be a couple of games off there. But they've lost 31 right now. So that's half of the season, according to me.
Yeah.
And
I'm glad they're playing in the National League East.
The National League East, as you will
They're only
agree,
a game and a half behind.
it's the weakest division of the National League.
Yeah.
Maybe even the Major League Baseball.
well, there doesn't seem to be an outstanding team. You know, it's the level playing field. Almost everybody is basically within a couple of games from the other teams. Parity.
I think if the Nationals can get their team, get their DL players healthy, I think they will be the winners as has been predicted. Now I see where Fister's coming back and is going to pitch tomorrow. That's good news.
Yeah.
But I am disappointed in Gio.
Yeah,
He's not doing a daggone thing.
and Strasburg right now too. questionable.
Zimmerman, Strasburg, Zimmerman's not doing too well. He pitched, I think, one good game, but the last outing, he lasted 3 innings. That's not quality pitching.
Yeah. Well, you wonder about the pitching nowadays. I happened to look up yesterday who among major league players, pitchers, had the most consecutive wins. And what would your guess be?
What pitcher has the most consecutive wins?
Yeah, not active, or could be active.
Are we going back to Lefty Grove or?
Well, that's my first choice.
Yeah.
And I was surprised to find out that it wasn't him. And it was Carl Hubble
Oh,
from the old Giants.
King, Carl Hubble, and Prince Hal Schumacher.
You never hear of him anymore.
No.
And he won 23 consecutive games.
Was there that many?
Yeah, so that's, you talk about the modern day pitchers, if they can win 8 consecutive games, they're doing pretty good.
You know, one of the little, I think, interesting asides on Carl Hubble is he threw this, what do you call a screwball, so often that his arm just naturally hung down with his palms out.
Uh-huh.
And this was mentioned when I was a kid sometime or other. But this leads me to ask you gentlemen, both of you, or I'll make an observation and you can correct me.
Well, there's no need to do that.
In my early days, when I was watching the Lefty Groves and the Gomez and the rest of them, I don't detect sore arms the way we have today. Now, what is the difference between then and now? And I'll leave it up to you gentlemen.
Well, in my opinion, everybody's concerned pretty much about longevity. So they limit pitching counts, and you know, the guys become specialists. Nobody goes out on the mound expecting to throw a complete game now, but it was.
You got to remember that those guys were making at most a couple $100 a game.
Yeah.
And if they didn't pitch, they didn't get paid a lot. You know, they were gone. And pitchers in the old days, at least even to my recollection, knew how to coast, they used to call it. Whitey Ford could pitch a 13-hit shutout, for example.
Yeah,
you know, and they'd pitch when they had to during the game, and other times they would try to get the batter to pop up or, you know, pitch to the weakness. And these guys, all they want to do is go out there now and throw it. Whatever they throw, except for Bartolo Colon, has to go 95 miles an hour.
40-year-old wonder.
Yeah, it's amazing. Everybody's gotten so much better at everything. The answer is that players today are bigger, stronger, and faster than they were. Unfortunately, we don't like to see this, but say that. But when I was young, the players weren't as good collectively. There were examples of great players, but every major league hitter today can hit a 95-mile-an-hour fastball, or he wouldn't be in the major leagues.
But
Well, there are a lot of guys doing that, Carl, back, you know, in the old days. You used to have, you know, 20 players in the league that hit 300 or more. And so it wasn't all the pitching. There were some damn good players back then.
Well, defense is a lot better today.
Well,
Defensively today is a lot better than it used to be.
Where they got
Because the
great big
fields are,
gloves.
you know, the fields are more true and all that. A lot of things that go into that.
But you said the players of today are bigger, better,
Stronger and
Stronger.
faster. Yeah.
but we still haven't accounted for my question as to the fact that in the old days, as I would call it, the Lefty Grove days, I never heard of sore arms, quadriceps being injured. Players played 9 innings. Today, they get hit by a pitch ball and they're out of the game.
Well, that's because, Bob, they didn't know what a quadricep was in those days.
Well,
I mean, these guys, pitchers wouldn't tell you their arm hurt. They'd pitch until it fell off.
well, that's what I'm wondering.
And today, the heads are, you know, they're worried about the least little thing, and the mechanics are wrong, and there's with the film and TV and all this kind of stuff, watching every move they make. There's, you know, they're overcompensating for too many things. That's what's wrong with Strasburg.
Well,
He's
do you think money has anything to do with this?
Oh, a hell of a
oh
lot.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I mean, that's the name of the game.
I think
Yeah.
now we're pinpointing, I think, as to why a pitcher will go 5 1/3 or 6 innings today when they're paid $10, $15 million a year. This is a tremendous investment.
Yep.
And of course, they have to be protected. So if pitcher A says, gee, I feel a little twinge in my arm, out he comes.
Yep. Yep.
Whereas I use the phrase olden days when I was a kid watching Lefty Grove and Gomez and the rest of them. You said they don't get paid.
Rub some dirt on it, spit on it, and let's
Yeah.
play.
Yep, that's exactly right.
Well, I remember the Yankees back then had Lefty Gomez, and Johnny Murphy was the relief pitcher. And that was unusual
Yep.
to have a guy come in the ninth inning or the eighth inning just to mop up or save a game.
Well, it was a badge of courage in the old days to have a complete game. Today, it's pitch as hard as you can, as fast as you can, as long as you can.
That's a major point.
Yeah, and when you're done, we'll get somebody else in there.
Now, you know, we the experts talk about after 110 pitches, they usually take the guy who's finished the sixth inning, seventh inning. But they don't count how many times a pitcher throws over to first base. To me, that's part of a pitch count,
Well, the warm-up pitches too.
Yep.
the warm-ups too. So really, he's throwing 230 balls, if you will, during his time on the mound.
Yeah, I once got in a discussion with Joe Theismann about that. You know, I said, I wonder how many passes you throw during a day
Yeah.
or practice day or something like that. And, you know, the quarterbacks still pitch, quote unquote, every day in practice.
Yeah.
Baseball players, you know, they nowadays they rest a couple of days where they don't even throw. But a football player throws every day.
As I understand from what I see in the papers, this guy Scherzer has a tremendous work ethic. I
Can
think
you imagine?
the day after, I guess he rests.
You know?
I may be wrong on that, but you can correct me. But then I read where the next day he's out throwing a bullpen or running or both. Do all the pitchers do that?
They all have a routine. Some will take a day off after they pitch. Some will throw 40, 50, 60 pitches. They have a bullpen session. They have a set routine that they go through, and it depends on the individual. Scherzer is an animal for work.
Yeah.
And some of the others don't do that. They'll rest the day after and then go out, throw a bullpen session the second day, and work themselves up a little bit to get ready to pitch again. But it depends on the individual. The thing that I wonder about, I never used to remember, if you go to the ball game or you watch the warm up, everybody's doing the long toss now. They start out in the outfield and right field and throw it across from center field. I don't remember pitchers used to do that sort of stuff, and I wonder how much that takes out of guys. I watched Strasburg and Zimmerman stand out in center field and try to throw strikes to the right field line before the game, and I don't know. I wonder about that.
I think it tells on his arm. It's got to.
Well, it would mine. I don't know.
Well, if somebody comes up with a theory and everybody adopts it. It seems that way. And somebody got the idea that the long toss was a measure of arm strength, and they all apparently tried to do it.
Well, this guy Scherzer, as I observe, is a tremendous leader. He's in that dugout. If he's not pitching, he's in that dugout cheering, bumping fists or whatever.
Yeah.
This is great to see.
Getting his chocolate syrup ready.
Doesn't it? Yeah. But getting back to the Nationals per se, at one time or another, they've had 8 of their top players on the DL. I think they've gotten back a couple of them. They still have 5 or 6 on the DL. Do you think, hopefully, when we get back to full strength, that the Nationals will then live up to the pre-season expectations?
Well, I think they'll do better than 500, which is
Yeah.
basically what they're doing now.
Well, you remember a couple of years ago when they had a lot of people hurt and came on like gangbusters at the end of the
Yeah,
season
yeah.
when they got everybody together. There's a lot of really good baseball players on this team, and if they're hitting on all cylinders and playing together, they're going to be tough to beat. And they've got to get into playoffs, and once they get into playoffs, they're a threat. And I think it's fortunately playing in the NL East, they have an easier route to the playoffs than some of the other teams in the league and other divisions have. And I look for them to come August and September to be a really good baseball
Break
team.
out?
Yeah, I think the key is that they've got to get Zimmerman straightened, the one with one end, the first baseman, get him straightened out, and get Worth back in lineup. You don't realize the intangible things that Jason Worth brings to a ball club, you know, and how the other guys listen to him, cue off of him, and that sort of stuff.
Well,
He's got to get back hitting again. He had just started to get on the beam a little bit when he got hurt again, so now he's got to go through it all over again. That hurts.
Well, I have so much respect for Rizzo as a general manager. He seems to have the knack to get rid of the players when their usefulness is just about ending. He got rid of LaRoche, and LaRoche was
LaRoche is
a real good player last year. He's hitting 235 now. So, you know, he's pinch hitter.
he's a bust.
Now,
No, he was a bust early here every year
but he finished up pretty
till the
good.
end, and he would hit a ton. That's the way he comes on at the end, so I wouldn't give up on him this year just yet.
I also don't hear anything more about Adam Dunn.
Well, he's done.
Yeah.
Is he out?
Yeah, he retired.
Oh, see, that's
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, he retired. So I was surprised, but he did.
I know you two gentlemen don't care much for Tom Boswell,
Oh, I think Tom's
We like
okay.
him personally.
Yeah.
but he proposed strengthening our bullpen, which is kind of shabby right now, by getting Clipper back or a guy named Joaquin Benoit or Papelbon from Philadelphia. And he said in a column today, all Papelbon has to do is hop on a bus, come down 95, and he's with the Nats.
So
Well,
what are we going to give up for these
Well,
guys?
Tom's like us. He's in the press box, not in the dugout.
Yeah.
So his opinion's just as good as mine or yours or anybody else's. Sometimes when you see a lot of games you know too much, you think you know too much. And, you know, so again, he's writing a column for people to read and get people excited about something. I understand all of that.
But I do agree with him that the bullpen needs to be bolstered. And right now, I shudder when Matt Williams goes to the bullpen. Even yesterday now, here we had 16 runs.
Yeah.
Storen comes in and boom, home run. If this is a 5-4 ball game, he's lost it. Luckily, it was a 13-run differential. No problem. Nothing harmed.
Oh, there's no doubt that the Nationals could use a middle reliever, and the save guy usually takes on a burden beyond the normal. You know, you give up a home run or something in the ninth inning, and it's a hell of a lot worse than giving up a home run in the second.
Well, yeah.
Nobody remembers that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so true. But we were talking about DLs, and if you'll notice, the Mets have an equal amount of players on their DL.
Oh, almost all clubs do. Well, I shouldn't say almost all, but many clubs.
Many clubs within the major leagues has the same
Well, the Orioles,
problem.
had the catcher out,
Yeah,
and
Matt Wieters.
yeah,
yeah.
they got rid of Machado. But they've suffered too. But that's why you have a team. You got to have the second 9 guys ready to go.
I heard an inkling the other day that Major League Baseball is considering reducing the number of games. Have you heard that?
Well, it
Back
depends
down
on
to
who.
154.
It depends on who you're talking to.
Yeah,
Well,
I
you hear
mean,
that every year.
Yeah, anybody
mean-
can make a proposal if they don't have standing. But why would they go to 154?
to give the players a couple more days off rest, for one thing. Now, you're going to throw back at me, well, Bob, look at the money we lose by going from 62 to 54. I know. But Jesus, you got all these players, multi-million-dollar players, that need a day off more than they're getting
Do you
today.
think
So
in,
then
in
they
the
add-
corporate world that the fact that the players need a day off is more important than the guy who's running the concession stands or the ticket taker or the parking guy or all of that? Come on.
All
They're
right.
not going to give up that money.
All right.
If they
You
go
know.
to 154 games, they'll only add another level to the playoffs.
Yeah. If you don't think it's a business, figure out how many Philly cheesesteaks they're selling in Philadelphia today as opposed to what they were when they were filling the ballpark. They got to get that ballpark back full again. They're playing to a half-full crowd. And, the money's money. I think one of the more interesting things is at baseball this year about the fact of whether the Yankees are going to pay Rodriguez his bonus or not. If he passes all of these milestones. He's already passed Willie Mays, and they owe him some money for that. Or now they say they're not going to pay it. But interesting, I read a piece in the New York Times yesterday. They have a guy that all he does at the games is go and retrieve the baseballs that Rodriguez hits.
So they can sell them.
Yeah, yeah.
sell
So
'em?
yeah, or somebody can sell them. So that's the guy's assigned to that, a former New York cop, and he sits in the outfield when Rodriguez comes to the plate and then tries to get the baseball back. Amazing. But they don't think it's important that he hits home runs. Ha ha.
We haven't mentioned this young man named Harper. I think he's amazing. He hit another home run yesterday. Now he's up to 22.
He hit it over the swimming pool.
Yeah, up into the net. I guess they have a
He
net.
hit behind and fell back into the net.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
That net guards the swimming pool. Is that what that is?
I guess.
I don't know.
I didn't know they had one in Tropicana Field. I've seen the one in Phoenix.
But
People out there swimming during the ball game.
speaking of Tropicana Field, yesterday's ball game, we were talking about crowds. There were a lot of empty seats, and yet that team is in first place.
Well, it's Florida in the summertime. What can I say?
Well,
they don't historically haven't drawn very well down there, and
I often wonder why. Is there just too many other things going on?
Well, that's part of it. The other thing I think too is they had a survey just last week of what it costs for a man and his wife and 2 kids to go to the ball game, and it's something like $400 or something
Oh,
like that,
my
with
Lord.
a couple of hot dogs
didn't hurt them in St. Louis.
and so you got to produce on the field in order
Yeah.
to.
By the way,
People watch TV, and I've gotten in that habit, watching TV more than to go to the ball game because it's a hassle to go.
yeah, speaking of St. Louis, do we have a major scandal coming up with this hacking?
Well,
The Houston Astro internet system?
Since the beginning of time, somebody's been able to try to figure out what the other guy's doing. Now they're just doing it electronically. You know,
Yep.
there'd been whistleblowers and everything else, or trade guy from one team to another so he
Yeah,
could tell them what's in the playbook. Or, of course, they never do that sort of thing.
No,
but,
no.
But you know, it's it's a scandal because the government has made it a crime. You know, I guess if I tell you inside stuff about something and you repeat it, maybe that's not a crime. But if you benefit from it, that's a crime. And I guess that's where the thing comes in, that somehow the Cardinals are going to learn something from the Houston Astros and their former assistant general manager that they don't know. And I'd be surprised what that might be.
Well, you had those kind of things, not on this magnitude, but they've been going on, as Carl mentioned, for a long time. I remember with the Redskins, when they had George Allen, they'd always be prepared for, at the end of the exhibition season, Dallas would have 2 quarterbacks more than starter and reliever. And George would always make a point of getting one of those 2 guys and then pump them, you know, for information, and then release them, you know, the day after the season began. But, you know, that was sort of the unwritten rule, and I assume it's still going on. If you can get a player from another team to spill the beans, they got to change a hell of a lot of stuff. Now it's all passwords.
Yeah.
And God, I have trouble with my passwords all the
Yeah,
time.
you and me both.
I do wonder just how much the Cardinals could benefit by hacking the Astros. You still have to send the batter up to the plate.
Well, it's just like Deflategate. The game in which the ball was deflated, the score was 42-7. The Cardinals are one of the most successful baseball teams for the last few years, to a long time. And what can the Cardinals learn from the Astros, who just this year have begun their turnaround? You know, I don't grasp it.
I don't
But
either.
I guess it's against the law. That's all I have to know.
Gentlemen, we're down to just about a minute to go. Sad to say, these sessions go by too quickly.
Yeah, we ought to take 2 days.
I mean, we ought to go. Any last minute Redskin comments or national comments or?
Well, I'm more concerned right now whether Steve, is that his name, the golfer? The guy that won Masters, whether he's going to being able
Spieth?
to, yeah.
I heard the coach on the radio before I came in. Apparently, they had their first practice in Richmond today.
The Redskins.
Yeah, and he reported that they're going back to basics with Robert Griffin III, and he's taking baby steps. And but he's 5 years old in this town, I guess. So
Hopefully, it might help.
you know, I hope it's all. But I thought that was a funny choice of words.
Well, I think, gentlemen, we ought to end this program by saluting American Pharaoh. He finally hit the Triple Crown. I think that's absolutely wonderful. It's great for the horse racing industry.
Yeah.
Well, I think you need heroes.
He's the
And,
hero.
And you got one there, and hopefully the Steve will be a hero in golf, and Harper and Trout,
Yeah.
and a few others be the hero in baseball. And
Well, just so I get invited back, I'm going to congratulate the Chicago Blackhawks. Because I feel like if I don't, I won't get invited back.
With that, gentlemen, I'm going to have to bid you a so long. I never say goodbye. So long, because I'll see you again, hopefully soon. Goodbye is too final.
Yeah.
Anyway, to our viewers, I thank you for tuning in. I hope that you enjoyed the program as much as I know I did, and hopefully these gentlemen did also. So Bob Zykel was saying, remember, always be a good sport.